Greetings viewers, Eric the Car Guy. Do you have a GMT 400 pickup truck that needs engine mounts replaced? This video is for you. I'll put links in the description to the engine mounts and things that I use, but there are some particular challenges associated with replacing the engine mounts on a Chevy truck like this. Check it out.
Engine mounts. I got new polyurethane ones from Summit. The reason to replace them, well, how about that crack right there? This is the right side mount, which I believe is the one that takes the abuse. But we got a crack right there. And I've got to say that getting these in and out of that frame is not an easy task at all. So if you have the lower control arms out like I did once, that's the time to replace the engine mounts. However, the engine was also in there at the time, but I'm just saying that it is, I'll show you how I did it, but it's going to be tricky getting these out. A lot trickier than you think it will be.
What about getting them in? Well,
it's going to be similar to getting them out, but since I already have a method, should be able to get them back in okay. But right now, in order to replace these, this particular design, this is sort of trapped inside here. And what they've done is they've sort of mushroomed out the ends of the top part of this. So this needs to be drilled out, all three of these. So boom, 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 boom. Those need to be drilled out in order to get this apart, in order to replace them. Plus, I mean, come on, these mounts are like what, like 30 years old? 30 something, yeah, almost 30 years old. Instructions state to use a 3/8 drill bit to drill out these sections that I mentioned earlier. So you gotta drill those out to get to the creamy center. A little bit WD-40 so I don't burn my bit up. I think that's how I killed my last 3/8 drill bit. Feels like it wants to come apart, like it's almost there. I don't just want to swap the engine mounts out. I want to go through and lay a coat of paint on these so that they look nice and pretty. So I'll get both of these apart like this, and then we'll sort out how everything's going back together. So it only goes on one way. I'm going to see if in the instructions if they state that this is somehow directional. I mean, it's pretty easy to tell how the old one went in there because it like sits how it wants to sit, which is just like this. But when they put the new ones in, which were slightly fatter, way too much movement. I'm going to dig a little deeper. I'm glad I checked that. See how these old sleeves used to go down inside the lower portion of this mount. Perhaps I need to knock these out in order to allow these things to come together as close as they can. Maybe this is a drill situation. I consulted the instructions. Whenever I find myself scratching my head, it's usually a good idea. It's actually a good idea to probably start by reading the instructions. Anyway, the instructions state that on the side where there's two bolt holes that hold the mount to the frame, so in other words, this side right here, two bolts holding it to the frame, there's two tabs here sticking out. And you'll see one is wider than the other. One's like 5/8 and the other is smaller. I don't know what this one is, but they call this one out by name 5/8. So they want the side with the 5/8, the wide one that's down at the bottom here, going towards the two bolt holes, like right here. So then I took it a step further and I went and grabbed the shackles that go on the engine that actually attach to this, and I was just curious myself. I'm like, all right, well, how's this work? Well, when you put this on, and this is why it's important to get this right. So when you put this on, see how it rests on there also? And it's not just supported by the bolt hole in the middle. So when the engine's down in there, it's going to be coming in contact with that stuff. And if you put it in there backwards, it's not going to sit in there correctly. So it is important that you get the orientation correct when you install it. So wide side towards two bolts. All right, just for the heck of it, before I took this one apart, I went and grabbed this and put it on here, and it sits in the exact same way. In fact, it's even starting to cut a little groove there. I'm just going to start with this one. I don't think it matters how big this hole gets. I just know when that ring comes off, I'm done. Don't follow the instructions and use your Unibit, because you're done. I'm probably still going to need to go through, well, no, I don't. I don't need to go through and do anything. The Unibit took that little sleeve off and everything. I'm done. I will get these clean, prepped, and painted, and we'll be back to put them together the rest of the way. They say to put it in a vise and do this, but I don't think it matters. I think as long as you got the holes to line up and everything, you should be all right. Once this thing is in there, it's in there. This is really what holds the engine mount, I think, is these metal tabs. Another way to remember it is there's this corner off the side. That's the side you want it, the 5/8 to be on. Once again, you can check it. These things I think are universal. You can see how stuff lines up in the corners there. I'll trim these ends off before I put them in the truck. The real challenge with these engine mounts is installing them on the truck, and the only way to do that I've found is to go through this opening near the lower control arm. It would have been ideal to do these with the lower control arms out, but the engine was still in the truck at that time. But this is my method. This angle wrench that I have, I'm able to sneak up through here and go on the back side of those holes to try to run things in. It's very tedious and time consuming, and I'm showing you this now because this is the only way I can get in there. But this long wrench is what saved me.
Well, viewers, I hope that information was useful to you if you have to replace the engine mounts on your GMT 400. I'm sure the question that's really on your mind is, where the heck can I get one of these Hero wrenches? And this wrench was a Hero wrench, but just one that has this adjustable flex head or something like it is what you'd be looking for. I will link this one down in the description for you to find. But this really was the magic weapon that helped me get those engine mounts in and out. As far as drilling everything out, use a Unibit. Don't use the 3/8 bit like they say in the instructions. That's kind of useless. I will link all of this stuff down in the description to make it easy for you to find. I will also link EricTheCarGuy.com down in the description if you have automotive questions not covered in this video. Also, there will be links to videos in this series both before and after, so you can keep up with what's happening on hashtag ETCG Dad's Truck, which I worked really hard to get it done before the power tour. Anyway, links to all that. Be safe, have fun, stay dirty. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.